It's weird to say there's good news anytime someone has died of coronavirus. That it doesn't seem right to say that. But I don't know how else to explain this other than to say we received a positive piece of news regarding a tragic coronavirus death. A coronavirus vaccine trial participant got coronavirus and died from complications. The news we got is that this patient had received the placebo, not the vaccine, which from the standpoint of vaccine development is a good piece of news, although it doesn't make this death any less tragic. So I'll catch you up on what happened. One of the coronavirus vaccines being developed that seems to be, I guess we'll call it one of the top three sort of candidates, is the Oxford vaccine being developed and tested by Astra-Zeneca, the pharmaceutical company. This is the trial that I told you, I don't know if it was 4, 6, 7 weeks ago, that was being put on hold because there was a serious health incident for one of the people who received the vaccine. This happens in vaccine trials, and they put the entire vaccine trial on hold in phase 3. Tragically, that person died of complications from coronavirus, which they contracted, and it was a Brazilian participant, and that's a horrible thing. What we've now learned is that this participant did not have the coronavirus vaccine. They were in the placebo arm of the vaccine trial. One of the important things that's done in these trials is that not everybody gets the vaccine. Some people get the placebo and they don't know it, in order to compare the effects of the vaccine versus the placebo, remembering that this is a phase 3 trial. So what we're looking at is not safety. Phase 1 and 2 has already dealt with safety as the primary thing that is being tested. Phase 3 is looking at efficacy. Now, of course, if the person who died had received the actual vaccine, you would have two things to look at. Number one, what does it say about the efficacy of the vaccine? Of course, no vaccine is 100% effective. But number two, was the death related to an adverse reaction to the vaccine? That would put the development of the entire vaccine in question. In this particular case, it was not the vaccine that caused this adverse event because the person received the placebo. And indeed, it was a complication to coronavirus. And the reality is that in a phase 3 trial with 30 or 40,000 people, if you follow those folks for months, by sheer odds, there are people in that group who would die or who would have a serious health incident. In this particular case, the person actually got coronavirus. They had received the placebo and not the vaccine. Now, this is why we do trials. There are times when an event would happen regardless of the vaccine. In this particular case, this is an individual who actually got the virus that the vaccine is being tested against. It's very sad from the individual standpoint. It is, in a sense, reassuring from the standpoint of vaccine safety. Now, there's also this discussion of, if the person had gotten the vaccine and still got coronavirus, would that mean that it's a bad vaccine? And it wouldn't. It wouldn't. Again, when you're testing 30 to 40,000 people, vaccines are not 100% effective. They are not expected to be. You don't need them to be in order to be effective at the herd or larger population level. But it does, again, raise these issues of the efficacy of giving placebos to people. And this is a well-established area of medical ethics. The question of, at what point would you say the placebo is no longer ethical because the real vaccine or the real treatment is clearly so effective? And that is a well-established area of medical ethics that is sort of beyond the scope of this program. I don't have an answer specifically in this case, but in general, placebos start to be questioned when there's a standard of care already existing that is better. In this case, we're testing vaccines against nothing. The vaccine is not a treatment, and thus it's a very different sort of situation. And then again, just as a reminder, phase 3 is not about safety, it's about efficacy. But yes, when you give the vaccine to 30 or 40,000 people, you may get data about safety that you didn't necessarily get in a smaller phase 2 trial. All of this goes to say what? That we are still in process looking at various vaccine candidates. We still don't know how long will these vaccines, presuming they work, confer immunity. How effective will they be? Is it a 40% effective vaccine? Is it 70% effective? And then, by the way, at the tail end of it, we really can't ignore that there's a large portion of the population in the United States that doesn't plan to get a vaccine when it's available, that doesn't have an interest in being vaccinated. And how that affects our ability to get to herd immunity is both a mathematical question, a scientific question, and really a sociocultural question as well, which we will continue to discuss. Let me know your thoughts on this latest news and your sort of outlook on the vaccine. I'm on Twitter at @dpakman. Make sure you are following me there. One of our sponsors today is Vincero Watches, and they're giving you 15% off everything in the store when you go to davidpakman.com/watch. If you're a guy looking for the perfect way to refresh your style, one of the best investments you can make is in a high quality wristwatch. Vincero is an American company that has made it possible for everyday people to afford a premium watch. Almost everything they sell is within the range of about $200, but it'll look like you spent a lot more. All of their watches are made in small batches from top quality materials, and they just look great. I went on their site and picked out a watch from their Icon Automatic collection. The one I got is in mesh matte black, and I love it. It's simple, sleek, elegant, goes great with just about anything I'm wearing, and I've gotten a ton of compliments on it. You'll get 15% off everything in their store when you go to davidpakman.com/watch, and I've put that link right underneath this video.